Aron Ra. Are you listening, Aron Ra? Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? Well, pay attention. Class is in session. This here is a message for Aron Ra concerning his dead granddaughter. Rest in peace. Either that or RIH roast in hell. Which one is it, Aron Ra? The following, Aron Ra, the following is a true story by J. Harold Smith, Southern Baptist evangelist. True story that he was personally involved in. About a 14-year-old girl. How old was your granddaughter when she died? Well, listen to this story about something that happened to a 14-year-old girl. J. Harold Smith tried to get her to get saved, and this 14-year-old girl refused, and God killed her. And just listen to hear her describe she's about to go to hell. And just know this, you better hope there is no hell, because if there is, your granddaughter, who you love so much, is having the same experience as this girl right here, burning in the everlasting flames of hell.
I was holding a revival meeting, preached this sermon. When I gave the invitation, over 90% of all the people in the audience, the Christians, the backsliders, the sinners, over 90% of the people got up out of their seat. It's just like you dismissed them. But there was a man and a woman and a little girl on the fourth pew right here in this section. They didn't move. And I felt impressed, speak to them. So I pushed my way through this crowd, stepped on the bench, stepped over the next one, over the next one, and I stopped right in front of the man and I said, "Sir, are you saved?" He said, "Yes, I am, preacher." Then I said, "Ma'am, are you saved?" She said, "Yes, I am." Then I turned to the little girl and I said, "Honey, are you saved?" She said, "No, sir." I said, "How old are you?" She said, "I'm 14. I said, "What is your name?" She said, "My name is Katie." I said, "Katie, you're just a young lady, just 14 years old. Do you ever think about giving your heart to Jesus?" "Oh," she said, "maybe sometime." I said, "Katie, if somehow or another you could know that you'd be dead before midnight, would you let me pray for you?" She folded her little arms across her chest like that and said, "No, sir." Her dad started crying. He said, "Katie, would you let me pray for you?" "No, Daddy, I don't want you to pray for me." Then the mother started crying and said, "Katie, would you let me pray for you?" "No, Mama, I don't want you to pray for me." On their way home that night, they lived 3 miles out of this little town where I was holding a meeting on the left side of the highway. And the father said, I had my signal going, I was turning left and my hand out, but 4 drunken men were coming up that highway, the police said, in excess of 90 miles an hour. The father said, I saw the lights, but he didn't realize they were coming so fast. Before he could turn left and get in his driveway, they struck him. That car rolled over 3 or 4 times. The mother was knocked out of the car. The father was knocked out of the car, just bruised up a little bit, but not seriously injured. Well, little Katie was wedged. They had struck that car right at the back, and little Katie was wedged in that car. And when it stopped rolling, it was upside down. And the man that told me about it, he said, "Preacher, I was the second car to arrive on that busy highway." And he said, "I want to tell you, because this little girl kept calling your name, I want to tell you what happened." He said, "I guess maybe in 5 minutes there must have been 25 cars and maybe 50 people around." And he said the gasoline was gushing out of that tank and running down that highway. And he said this car went on, hit him, went on about 100 yards and wrecked. And he said another gentleman and I got up in that back seat trying to get that little girl's legs freed. She was hanging upside down in that car. He said we'd been working with it about 5 minutes when I saw this flash. And I knew that somebody had set that gasoline on fire. One of those drunken men, he got out of the car, lit a cigarette, and threw the match down. It fell in that gasoline. And he said, I turned to my friend that was on the other side, and I said, we've got about 5 or 10 seconds to get this little girl out of this car. And he said, "Preacher, I have never put forth such an effort." But he said, "I looked and I knew I had to abandon her." And I got out of that car. And he said, what I heard the next 30 seconds, I'll never forget. He said, that little girl began to scream, "Daddy! Mother! Somebody get me out of this car, Daddy! Mother, I'm going to die. I'm going to go to hell, Mama. I wish I'd have let preacher."
Now, if this girl did not believe in Jesus when she was dying, how did she just know intuitively she was going to go to hell? By the way, if your granddaughter was not born again, she's there with this little girl burning in hell. You don't want to have a family reunion with your granddaughter when you die, Aron Ra. You better get saved now, or you better explain to me scientifically why it is these stories only happen in Christianity. Never Islam, never Hinduism, not even voodoo. Listen to the rest of the story.
Preacher Smith prayed for me. He said, "Go to hell, Mama. I wish I let Preacher Smith pray for me." He said, "Preacher, we had to hold that father and that mother." So I actually believe that ran right into that fire. But he said that mother got as close as she could get to that car and said, "Katie, can you hear me?" "Yes, Mama." "Katie, you are going to die. We can't get you out, honey. You are going to die. Call on the Lord and ask Him to save you, honey. Ask Him to..." "Mama, Mama, I can't pray, Mama. I can't pray." I sat here a moment ago, and I wondered if there's some young person in this house. You got your name on some church roll, but you know way down deep in your heart that you've never really been born again. You've never even been saved. You just got brought up in the church. One day you walk down the aisle, you gave the preacher your hand, and they baptized you. But you never were born again. You never had become a new child, a new person. And I wondered.
Aron Ra, does that describe you and your Christianity? Matt Dillahunty and his Christianity? You walked the aisle. You said the prayer. You were baptized. You became a preacher. But deep down in your heart, you were never born again? Is that why Matt Dillahunty and you deconverted? Because you didn't have that inner knowledge of Jesus? That's just the sad facts of life. I don't like it anymore, but if your granddaughter was not saved, she's burning in hell with that other little girl. I wish God loved us all, but you know, God is a consuming fire. But Aron Ra, this is my evidence. Why do you keep running from me? You fat, overfed, stuffed son of a bitch, atheist pig. Meet me in this video dialogue. I'm just facing your fucking computer screen. I can't do anything to you. And you can't do anything to me, but you yell and scream at me. Bring it on, Aron Ra. Bring it on. Bring it on. Debunk my... If you're truly an atheist and not afraid of my evidence, if this evidence doesn't spark something deep within that you will not admit, troubles your waters, bring it on. Or are you too pussy? You fat, stuffed, atheist, pussy son of a cunt, goddamn. I wish I could see you and Howard Storm discuss these topics. He was a militant atheist in the 80s, but he had a near-death experience, met Jesus. I wish I could. No, yeah, I do. But Aron Ra, bring it on! Hey, maybe you'll get the chance to meet me face to face and try to kick my ass. But the fact remains, your granddaughter is dead, and you better make sure there's no hell, because if there is a hell, like this little 14-year-old girl in this story that really happened, she's there. And now, don't you dare say this is anecdotal evidence. There are preachers There are shitloads of preachers from the early 1900s who have similar stories of people who died after either blaspheming the Holy Ghost or refusing to get saved when they were offered the chance to become a Christian. That's too many. Okay, if there's just one story like this, and you could dismiss it, but when stories like this are consistent all around the United States of America, motherfucker, you better listen. You better either listen to the stories or find a way to debunk them. Because if we can't debunk them, and don't have this shit, it's not an atheist to debunk, to prove their point. Listen, goddamn motherfucker. This evidence that I got, this is positive evidence. I dare you. Are you smart enough to you can't debunk this. Now bring it on. And just know this. What does your granddaughter and this doll have in common? They both look like a female, but they're both dead. Duh. Harvey used to say, for the rest of the story, keep in mind, if your granddaughter was not born again, this is what is happening to her now. In hell, what happened to this little 14-year-old girl named Katie?
He said, preacher, that fire got inside that car. He said if you've ever wrung a chicken's neck and then threw it on the ground, watched it flying around her neck, she began to frail her arms and scream. And people a half a mile away heard the screaming of that little girl as she died. And at this very moment is screaming still in the fires of hell.
Damn. I don't like it any more than you do, but hey, I got no fucking choice. The evidence is there. Unless you smart enough. If Christianity is really not true, I want to know. But how in the fuck can you debunk Christianity when this is the only religion that people had died in such fashion like this?